Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
Welcome back to Bayou Time. I'm your host, Tanner McGee. Today we have a very special guest, my former seatmate, the Honorable Jerome Zeringue. Hey Z, how's it going?
Fine, Tanner. It's just not the same up here without you, I'm telling you.
You're looking very spiffy today. What's going on? Why are you dressed up like a 1920s Southern lawyer?
Well, it's B. Huey Day today. No, it's Seersucker Day today. So everyone, not everyone, but everyone who had a seersucker suit, which were originated in Louisiana, and Gregory Peck wore one in To Kill a Mockingbird, and that kind of popularized it. But anyway, Seersucker Day today. Honor the seersucker origination in Louisiana.
Absolutely, and I often think of Atticus Finch. I also think of Jerome Zeringue in the same sentence. Z, speaking of laws, we might be having a constitutional convention coming up. What is the latest on that? Are we having one? Tell us what you know.
So it passed out of the House with a majority, obviously, it needed a 2/3 vote, and it's over in the Senate, and it appears that it's closer than what most people think. At this point, it appears that a lot of the Democrats won't vote for it, and I think there's a very slim margin on the Republicans. Although, as you know, the influence of the governor is pretty intense, and it's something that he wants to make happen. And so I know before it completely dies, they're going to do everything they can to ensure that it happens. And so what they're projecting, if it does make its way through, is about a 3-week session looking at trying to, they call it the super statute, to where taking things that are currently constitutionally protected and moving them over into statute.
So you're saying a 3-week session. I think the last one took over a year when we did the 1974 Constitution. What is the confidence, or what is giving everybody the belief that they can actually get a convention done in 3 weeks?
It took a year, and also a lot of the delegates were elected, unlike the delegates proposed for this constitutional convention, where it will be all the House members, all the Senate members, and 27, either 27, I think it's 27 delegates from the governor's appointments will serve. And as you mentioned, the previous one took over a year. The reason they believe that this convention can achieve what it hopes to achieve in 3 weeks is that what we've been told is that they will not change anything in terms of what's constitutionally protected. It's basically a change other than taking it from a constitutional protection and putting it into statute, which means that we as legislators can then come back during session and with a majority vote change what was elected on by the people, primarily to focus on budgetary issues. As you know, Tanner, we're financially strapped in terms of what we can or can't do when it comes to addressing deficits or manipulating the state's budget, because there are so many protections, constitutional or statutory dedications. And the attempt, or at least the discussion, is to free the constitutionally protected issues within the budget and put them in the statute, which would provide some opportunity to access, to maybe have some flexibility in working through the budget.
And you brought it up. It's in the Senate now. Has it made it through Senate committee on the Senate floor? Where is it in the process in the Senate side? Do we know?
It hasn't made it through the committee yet. We sent it over there. It's waiting to be heard in committee, and then it's going to go on the floor.
So it still has a long way to go before it even becomes a reality. A lot can happen between the Senate committee, Senate floor, and back to y'all and back to the governor's desk. I think one of the big questions that remains around it is whether you can do a limited constitution or not, or whether any constitution, once they get there, can turn into a full one. Have y'all had some robust discussions about that?
We have, and interestingly enough, you and I off topic and Twitter and stuff have had some discussions with others. And I think you had recognized, and others as well, that we can put all the stipulations and within the bill itself during the call of the election in terms of limiting the call or what can be discussed. But I think the reality is, and it was brought out on the floor, and I'm sure it'll be addressed in the Senate as well, that we can amend or put stipulations all we want. But once the Constitutional Convention is established, the delegates then set the rules, and the rules can reflect whatever the delegates want to discuss, despite what the legislature may have envisioned or wanted to protect within the call of the convention. Now, granted, there's a lot of commitment in terms of, listen, if we put it in the call, we are going to stand by that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if they want to change it, the delegates could change despite what the legislature puts in the call.
One of the things I was curious about is you have House delegates, Senate delegates, and governor's appointee delegates. Does that mean the convention is going to be a tricameral convention where a proposal has to go through all different three, or there's some kind of consolidation where they can make y'all just unicameral, or y'all just have to go through one body, or is going to be some sort of bicameralism? Has been any discussion surrounding that?
Yes, and that was a serious discussion, primarily because of the fact that within the previous conventions, it's usually one man or one woman, one vote. And that was concerns, obviously, with the Senate, simply because they are 39, we are 105, and they thought they could just get rolled in the delegates as well. So what they're doing, as you indicated, it'll be tricameral, that the bodies independently will vote for it, and the majority, the three, will have a voice and be able to vote on the items within the call or whatever is discussed in the rules to address at the convention. So it'd be tricameral.
Wow. And does the governor have to sign off on any of that, or is after it goes through the three bodies, it's going to be up to, you only have 7 seconds. We'll answer that question when we get back from the break. We have Representative Jerome Zeringue on the show. We'll be right back.
Social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
We're back with Representative Jerome Zeringue. Z, right before the break, I asked you a question. I didn't give you a chance to answer it, which is, does the governor have to sign off on the proposals, or once it makes it through the three bodies of the convention, it goes to the people? And I'm going to give you an opportunity to answer that now.
Sure. As I appreciate it, the governor doesn't then have sign-off authority. I think once the three bodies approve it, it would then go to the public. And I think that's what the governor is shooting for, because it will be a presidential election in November. There will be a significant, in terms of numbers of people, greater going to the polls. And so that would have the best opportunity for people to weigh in on what the convention and results of the convention, whether they support it or not. So ultimately, at the end of the day, whatever we produce, the public will have a chance to vote it up or down.
Very interesting. Yes, and it's going to go to the public, and we'll see what the public does with the document itself. Switching gears a little bit, you sort of have a reputation in the legislature and the state government as being somebody who's on the forefront of coastal restoration projects. You have a great background on it. Everybody in the legislature looked at you whenever these issues came up. And right now we're kind of hitting into a hot topic, which is diversion. Specifically, I think one specific diversion project has kind of been iced. Kind of give us a little background, tell us what's going on, and kind of where we are with that situation.
Well, as you know, one of the most important aspects of our ability to restore and protect the coast is going to have to utilize the river. And it's been a challenge. I know the lieutenant governor has been opposed to the diversions and others, and primarily based on mostly opinion as opposed to fact. I mean, saying things like the river cannot build land, we just need to look a little bit to the west and look at the Wax Lake Outlet, the only actively forming delta in the United States from the Atchafalaya River. It's building land. In addition to existing diversions, West Bay diversion, which is building land. Carnarvon and Davis Pond were two freshwater diversions that were intended just to provide fresh water. And even despite the fact that they just were designed and built to provide fresh water, they are actually building land. So this is a specific diversion that will target building land utilizing the sediments. It's a process that has taken 10 years to get the permit. We got all the permits. The project was actually getting started. It's in Ironton, right off of Plaquemines Parish, and it's the mid-Barataria going into the Barataria estuary, and it was going to produce over 20 square miles per year in terms of the ability to build land. And it's the gift that keeps on giving. And unlike dredging, where you have to continually dredge, the diversion will continue to build land and sustain that land. So the process, they went through 10 years, got the permits. The project actually started, they broke ground, contractors broke ground on a $3 billion project, the largest project to date in coastal restoration. In fact, it's probably one of the largest eco-restoration projects outside of the Florida Everglades within the United States. And it was going to have significant benefit. Well, Plaquemines Parish, despite getting all the necessary permits, brought up some obscure request about the National Flood Insurance and the fact that they didn't receive the National Flood Insurance permit from the parish. The contractors didn't, so they stopped the project. So now it's in litigation. And the unfortunate reality is if this project is held up, the state could be on the hook for anywhere from $500 to $900 million for fines and penalties and liquidated damages that the contractors have already committed to in contract that they would lose. And so the state would be on the hook, and you can't use the project funds because those are federal dollars for the project. So this would have to be state general fund. And it's unfortunate because it's this request that they made for a permit, and all of the state projects, this has never been brought up, or has never been any other parish or any other entity requested that they secure this permit. Quite frankly, it's the parish president and some members of the parish council who don't want the project, and they're just trying to hold it up.
Oh yeah, they've definitely been opposed to it from the very beginning. I don't think there's much of a secret even made to that. So basically, is it now in the court system to resolve, or is there anything that the legislature and the governor's office can do to try and kind of push this thing along?
Well, I have a bill that's working, that actually would allow the project to move forward. Unfortunately, the parish presidents, the coastal parish presidents are opposed to it because they're saying it's taken their authority away, which it isn't. My bill basically says, listen, after the state secures all the permits, all the necessary permits, and the parishes have had an opportunity to weigh in, you can't come after the fact, after the permits are issued and the project started, and come up with some obscure parish council ordinance or, dog walking or whatever it is that they can use to try to stop a project. You can't stop it. The problem is that bill is being held up right now because they're saying that we're taking parish authority away. It's similar to what happens with DOTD. Right now, the DOTD is not required to get local ordinance or permits if they build a bridge or a road. This is a state project that has significant multi-parish jurisdictional benefits, and one parish is basically holding up this particular project. And I see we have about 1 minute left.
Yeah, we have about 1 minute left. I mean, I'm of the opinion that if they're going to cost the state $500 million in contractual damages, exercising their parish authority, then they should be the ones who pay the $500 million. And I think they would probably exercise their parish authority a lot less. But I don't get to make the rules anymore.
No, but that's a good point. Again, this is a multi-parish project, and it has significant benefits for the whole coast. And I think it's important that we don't let these particular issues, and a lot of it is misinformation in terms of talking about it's going to destroy fisheries or it's going to not build land. It's completely false and not true. And so it's unfortunate, but hopefully we can get the project moving forward.
Well, look, we appreciate everything you're doing. That's all the time we have. Keep up all the good work in Baton Rouge. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Kenny. And you did almost as good as Kramer on Seinfeld when he redid the Merv Griffin studio. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. That's all the time we have for Bayou Time. I was your host, Tanner McGee.